Okay, right. So first of all, we'll talk about bar diagrams. Okay, this looks very simple. Why are we talking about bar diagrams? But this is the basis of research. Maximally, all data which can be grouped into frequencies, percentages, and proportions are represented by bar diagrams. But what we do is we fail to find out the difference, to chalk out the difference between a bar diagram and a histogram. And when we sent our research to the editors, it comes back, it says wrong diagram has been drawn for your data. Your data was qualitative and you have represented it with a histogram. Okay, but then if you take this class seriously today, you will know that qualitative data will never be represented by a histogram. Okay, so bar diagram first. The frequency or relative frequency of a categorical variable. What is a categorical variable? Qualitative variable, which could be nominal, dichotomous, or binary, or ordinal. It can be shown easily in a bar chart. It is used with categorical or numerical discrete data. Each bar represents one category, and its height is the frequency or counts in each category. Don't worry, we'll look at an example and then you'll understand. Bars should be separated. Please always remember, a bar diagram has spaces. A histogram is continuous. Okay. It is very important that the y-axis begins with 0. Now look at this example. The same example that we talked about in the Excel sheet. Results of stool cultures of 20 patients gave the following results. Represent the data with the help of a suitable diagram. Okay. What are the organisms? First, I'll see. See how many rows does this have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So all your data is in 6 rows and 2 columns. This is the variable. What is variable? Name of the organism. And what is this? Counts, number, or frequency. Okay. Total is again another row for totals, but this we do not include in the data. The data essentially has 6 rows. Okay. So results of stool cultures of 20 patients gave the following results. Represent the data with the help of a suitable diagram. When you have a look at this data, when you eyeball the data, what you see at the first instance, it is simple nominal data. You name the organism, count. Name, count. E. coli, count. Giardia, count. Rotavirus, frequency. Shigella, 2. Okay. So all these are what? These are qualitative data, right? Categorical data. Okay. Okay. Look at this bar diagram. It is a simple bar chart. It tells you what? At the x-axis, the horizontal axis is the x-axis and the vertical axis is the y-axis. Okay. The vertical axis always starts with 0. What did we study? We studied that there have to be spaces between the bars. This is a bar diagram. When there are no spaces between the bars, it's a histogram. Okay. So in a bar diagram, there are spaces between the bars and the y-axis starts with 0. Always remember. You're naming it and you're writing the count here. Okay. For example, when you look at this data, maximally, which organism was present? E. histolytica. 6 patients out of 20 had E. histolytica, followed by Giardia and Cryptococci. Okay. And then E. coli, Rota, and Shigella were all equal at a frequency of 2. Okay. Now, this is a simple bar chart. For example, smartphone user data. This is another example to tell you how to draw a bar chart. Instead of say 100 smartphone users in United States, I take all of you and ask you what smartphone are you using. I just write here, whatever smartphone you're using, presume that this is an Excel sheet. And in each cell of the Excel sheet, I write the name of your brand of the cell phone that you're using. The data will look something like this. Okay. But now you see, whenever you look at this data, you cannot tell me which is the most frequently used phone. We cannot, there is no way to tell which is the most frequently used phone. Okay, so what do we do with this data? We organize this data into something like this. See, now it is more clear. You look at this data, you know what were the total number of users? 100. Apple was the most frequently used phone. 45 people were using Apple. Samsung was being used by 28. LG was being used by 10 and the least used was HTC. Okay. Some sense of data you're getting. Okay. But still, I had to spend a few seconds looking at the numbers and telling you that, look, Apple is the most frequently used phone. HTC is the least frequently used phone. So better way of representing, this kind of data is this. Now look at the data. Just look at the highest bar or the tallest bar, and you know in a second, in a fraction of a second, that Apple is the most frequently used, followed by Samsung, followed by LG, followed by others, followed by Motorola, and then least used is HTC. So I hope you can understand what is the main purpose of drawing these charts. These charts give you a visual representation of data, and they, kind of save your time. Okay. You look at the data and you instantly know what the user or what the, researcher is telling you about. Okay. Okay, now what is a relative frequency? Sometimes you're told to draw relative frequency bar chart. Now, what is a relative frequency? Don't get confused. A relative frequency is frequency of a particular class divided by the total number of people. For example, what is a relative frequency for Samsung? It is 28 divided by 100, which is 0.28. Okay, now we'll convert the whole of this table into a relative frequency table, right? Apple 45. 45 divided by 100 is 0.45. HTC 2. 2 divided by 100 is 0.02. 10 divided by 100 is 0.10 and so on. Okay. Now when you add all of this, you get 1. So 100 is now converted into 1. Okay. Now look at this table. From 0, instead of 0 to 100, we are going from 0 to 1. And you know that the highest relative frequency is 0.45. So you don't have to draw the table till 1. Drawing the table till 0.5 will suffice. Okay. So Apple is again the most frequently used phone, but the difference in that frequency bar chart and this frequency bar chart is that was a frequency bar chart. This is a relative frequency bar chart. Okay. Okay. Now, what is a multiple bar chart? A multiple bar chart is only used for easy comparison between groups. Okay. Just have a look at the example and then you'll understand. Same example, but now what do? We just divide the data. Initially, what was written? Cryptococci 4, E. histolytica 6. Now, what are we doing? We are dividing 2, 4, 6, whatever the ratio or the, sorry, not the ratio, the frequency that was written here. Now we are dividing into males and females. So there were total 4 cryptococci cases, out of which 2 were males, 2 were females. 6 cases of E. histolytica, out of which 2 are males, 4 are females. E. coli 2, 1 male, 1 female, and so on. Total 20 cases, 10 males, 10 females. Okay. So now, what is the type of diagram that we draw? We draw a grouped or a multiple bar chart. Whenever you look at data which has categories, you have to prompt the software that I want a multiple bar chart. The only thing I want you to understand in this class is, with the advent of technology, using Excel, using, SPSS, using Jamovai, there are so many softwares out there which are absolutely free. The thing is, you can download the software. You cannot tell the software to draw a suitable diagram for you unless you give it a prompt that this is my data. You have to, it is going to give you a certain set of options. Bar chart, simple bar chart, multiple bar chart, pie chart, donut chart. What kind of, chart or what kind of bar diagram do you want me to draw? But if your concepts are clear and you understand that this is not a one variable table, but the variable has been broken down into 2 variables. And what am I doing? I am comparing males and females here. You will simply give the prompt, draw a multiple bar diagram, draw a grouped bar chart, and then the software will give you the chart. I'll show you a demonstration also in a couple of minutes. That is going to make things a little more clear, okay? But all you have to remember in this theory part is it allows easy comparison between groups, okay? In a simple bar chart, I hope you can appreciate, we are not comparing anything. We are just writing frequencies as they are, okay? There is no comparison. But see, here there is comparison. And you can see that in females, the maximum frequency was E. histolytica. In males, Giardia was the most common, okay? Now, what is a component bar diagram? Mostly you're not told to draw it, but you should know what this is. In case of a component bar chart, the proportions of subgroups between 2 or more than 2 major categories are represented with a bar, giving proportion to each of them within the bar. You are not going to understand any of this. Just let me read it. We'll come back to this slide again. It is advisable to make one bar as 100%, and each subcategory is given proportion within the bar. Just have a look at this example and then we'll make things clear, okay? Underlying cause of infant mortality among racial or ethnic groups in the United States in 1983. So how many groups are we talking about? We're talking about 4 groups, right? Others, SIDS, sudden infant death syndrome, low birth weight or prematurity or respiratory distress syndrome, and birth defects. And we are talking about different races. Look, Black, American Indians, Hispanics, Asians, whites, and total. Okay. So what are these? These are component bar diagrams. Look at the height of each bar diagram. It is same. That means, you know, the red portion to the black portion. This represents 100%. Now, what do? We divide them into different components depending on the frequency of SIDS, LBW, and birth defects among these racial or ethnic groups. Okay. Now, when you look at this diagram, you can easily see that in American Indians, you know, the American Indians have maximum proportion of SIDS, and Asians have maximum birth defects. Okay. So this is the, you know, utility of using these kind of charts. See, which is the most, you know, this is the one. Others, the other category is maximum in blacks. The yellow category, that is SIDS, is maximum in American Indians. The black category is maximum in Asians. The LBW, or the premature category, is maximum in blacks again. So this is going to tell you that, look at this, 9261, 434, these were the total number of people in each category. And this is the total number of people who have been studied. Look at this. It says by A.S. Ibrahim and NNH Mikhail, Ankara Cancer Epidemiology course, April 2006. It is very important that you acknowledge the source of your slide. This is what I meant when I had written in the initial slide that table should be followed by a footnote if you want to acknowledge anything. Okay. So we'll go back again. What is a component bar diagram? In case of a component bar chart, the proportions of subgroups between two or more than two major categories are represented with a bar giving proportion to each of them. Look, this is the bar, and it gives proportion or component to each variable or each subcategory. This is what you have to understand. There is one bar. This one bar gives space or proportion or component to different subcategories. Okay. This is usually not asked. What you have to know is a multiple bar chart or a simple bar chart and a pie chart. Now, what is a pie chart? All of us have studied pie charts in class 8 to 12, but then again, it is a part of medical, you know, research. So you have to brush this up. It is an alternative to show categorical variable. Remember, it's an alternative. Each slice of a pie represents % of the whole. All of you know it. It only shows one variable in each pie chart. It is very important that a pie chart cannot, you know, compare two variables. It can show only one variable at one particular time. If we want to make comparisons, we need to build two pie charts or a donut diagram. Degrees of an angle denote the frequency. Size of the angle is calculated by multiplying the class percentage by 3.6, because if 100% is 360 degree, 1% is 3.6. See, what is the civil status of women in a community? You just do a thorough survey of a particular area, say maybe Mira Sahib, okay, or Bishna, any area. And what do? You collect all the raw data that is, and among the women that have been studied, you convert that into percentages, and you see that 44% of the women were married, 28% were single, 11% were divorced, 8% were widowed, and 9% were in free union, okay? Live-in or something like that, okay? So this is civil status of women in a community. You can appreciate that we can talk about only one variable when we're talking about pie charts, okay? See, whenever you want to compare anything, you need to have two pie charts. You know, this is in contrast to a multiple bar diagram, where only single bar diagram can compare two variables. For example, in this example, what did we do? We compared males and females, the stool samples or GI infections in males and females, and we drew what? Single multiple bar chart. But in case of pie chart, you cannot do this. You have to have two separate pie charts for two separate variables, okay? See, what is the civil status of women here? This pie chart represents the civil status of women. This pie chart represents the civil status of men in a community, okay? Now, the pie chart below shows the percentages of blood types for a group of 200 people. This is a group of 200 people. How many people in this group have blood type AB? Look at blood AB, blood type AB. 19% of people have blood type AB, okay? How many people in this group do not have blood type O? That is type AB plus A plus B. How many people in this group have blood types A or B? So how many people? 16% plus 25%. Now you can simply calculate 19% of 200 is what? 19% of 200 is 38. So 38 people in this group have blood type AB. 38, okay? Percentage is written. If you want to write frequency, the frequency, corresponding frequency is 38. How many people in this group do not have blood type O? This is the number of people who do not have, blood type O. 100 minus 40. 40 is type O. When you minus 40, you're left with 60. So 60% do not have type O. So 60% of 200 is what? 120 people. And then the last is how many people in this group have blood types A or B? A or B, 16% plus 25%. 16 plus 25 divided by 200 is 82. So 82 people is the n, small n or frequency or count for this group. Now, what is the central angle of the sector corresponding to the expenditure incurred on royalty? This is the printing cost, paper cost, binding and royalty of books. Okay. The following pie chart shows the percentage distribution of the expenditure incurred in publishing a book. Study the pie chart, answer the question based on it. What is the central angle of the sector corresponding to the expenditure incurred on royalty? Royalty is 15%. So 15% into what? Into 3.6 because 1% is 3.6 degree. So 15 into 3.6 is what? 54 degrees. So answer is 54 degree. Okay. Now, what is a donut diagram? Any of you, have you seen a donut? Have you eaten a donut? It always has a hole in the center. A pie does not have a hole in the center, but a donut has a hole in the center. That is why the name donut here, okay? It is functionally identical to pie chart. The only difference is that it has a hole in the middle. A donut chart serves a similar purpose to a pie, except that it is able to show more than one set of data. See, we're talking about hospital A here. We're talking about hospital B here. So it is similar to what? It is similar to a multiple bar chart. Why? Because in a multiple bar chart also you could compare more than two categories or more than one category, two or more. Okay. In a donut diagram also it is possible to compare two variables or two hospitals or two diseases, anything. More than one set of data can be compared. All the pieces must add up to 100%. They should be fewer than 7 categories or sections. The sections of the donut chart should be labeled because angles are hard to judge here. Okay, in a pie chart, you know the angle. But in a donut diagram, you don't have the concept of angle here. Okay, it is only a portion. The component is something like a, multiple bar chart and a combination of component and multiple bar chart. Okay, for example, diabetes mellitus is represented by color blue. I would want all of you to know that what we call, key when you're studying in class 10 or 12 is called legend when you're in a medical college. So the legend for this diagram is, it reads as follows. The blue, color is for diabetes. The purple or lavender color is for IHD. And this, beige color so-called is for renal diseases. Okay. So you can see in hospital A, maximally, the death is occurring, or morbidity, mortality, what are we talking about right now? Whatever we are talking about. See, IHD is mostly responsible for all of the cases in hospital A. Whereas in hospital B, it is renal cases that are predominating. See, so here you can compare two sets of data in the same diagram. This is a donut chart. See the example below, where a donut chart shows sales for different regions for two separate years, for year 2005 and 2006. This allows to compare data more easily with respect to time. See how easy it is to see that the US sales decreased in 2006. You can see this is the legend. The blue color is for US. This green color is for Asia. And this beige color again is for Europe. Okay. What you can appreciate here is the United States sales went down from 36% in 2005 to 26% in 2006. Okay. Right. And it takes much less space than two pie charts put one side, aside one another. Okay. It works well between 2 and 4 sets of data. After that, it's going to appear cramped and for a limited number of slices for each set, since only 2 slices are guaranteed to be aligned. Look at this diagram. You have sales by region in 2005, sales by region in 2006. You see only 2 sets of data. The blue one and the beige one are aligned. This is totally not aligned. So it is very difficult to have, cramped data. It is always to have 2 or 3 categories. Don't go beyond 3. although theory says that you can go up to 7, don't go beyond 3. Don't try to compare more than 3 sets of data in a single donut chart, okay? Okay, maps. You all know, what are maps? You've seen that in public health books, in your geography books, what is the amount of rainfall a area is having, what is the population, what is the sex ratio, what is the mortality, what is the IMR. So these are called what? In medical research, please remember, these maps are not called ordinary maps. These are called thematic maps. Thematic maps, okay? THEMATIC. Remember the word thematic. Sometimes you send your manuscript, it comes back. It says, why don't you try to represent your data with the help of a thematic map? Okay. So then, students should know what is a thematic map. Okay. We are not going to talk about quantitative data today. We stop here. I just want you to have a look at a few examples which are real life so that you can appreciate how diagrams are drawn in Excel. I would like you to see how we draw diagrams in Excel. Okay. Just give me a moment. I'll share my screen here. Okay. You can see my Excel sheet.
Yes, ma'am, it's visible, ma'am.
Okay. I'm going to delete this table. We'll draw it again for you. Okay. I'm deleting this also. Just have a look how things are done. Okay. See. Now this is your data. This is the same example that we talked about. The cryptococci, E. histolytica, E. coli, Giardia, rotavirus, and Shigella results out of 20 participants or 20 stool samples. These are the frequencies. Okay, try to use technical terms here. Okay, these are frequencies or counts. Okay, now what do? We need to draw a diagram. Okay, just a second. Right. What do? We just select this data. Okay, we select this data, go to insert, go to column. See, these are the kind of diagrams you see here. See, it is so simple. You don't have to do anything. Whenever you're writing a manuscript, this is how you draw a diagram. This is your x-axis. This is your y-axis. This is the name of the organism that is spotted on the stool sample result. Okay. And this is the frequency. See, E. histolytica 6. This is the count. Followed by Giardia and cryptococci. Followed by Shigella, E. coli, and rotavirus in equal numbers, right? Now, we can also represent this data with the help of a pie chart, okay? See, you can write this also, 4, 6, 2, 4, 2, 2. The different ways you can represent your data, okay? This is the legend you see here. This is the number. You can also, change the title, right? GI infections in stool samples of 20 patients, whatever, okay? Whatever you want to write. This is the title, okay? Gastrointestinal infections. You can, modify this table. You can modify the colors. You can do anything you want to with this. But what I want you to know is you have to identify. See, all of us we knew that this is simple bar diagram. Had we been confused, we would have been, looking at all these diagrams and, trying to figure out kaun-sa banaye. But since we know that this is qualitative data has to be represented by spaces in between. Simple bar diagram is the best type of diagram that we can draw. So it is very simple. Select this and you're done, right? But the basis of this class is please have a hang of, what is a variable, what is a qualitative variable, what kind of diagram can be drawn for a qualitative variable, okay? Now we talk about a pie chart. See, we'll again select this data, go to a pie chart. We'll draw a pie chart here. See, we have a pie chart. See, this is your pie chart and this is the legend, different colors. Now, if you want to label it, go ahead, label it. See, this is Shigella 10%, Rota 10%, Crypto 20%, E. histolytica 30%, E. coli 10%, Giardia 20%. See, you can write it like this also. If you think that this is cramped, don't write it like this, write it like this. See, you have the legend here on the top. The title you can always modify. See, you can write anything you want to. This is a pie chart depicting, I'm sorry for the spellings, depicting results of stool examination of 20 patients. Okay, this is how you write titles of your pie charts, right? Okay, now we'll just do one thing. We'll go to sheet 2. See, this was the example that we did. I'll delete this. We'll draw this again. I'll delete this also. Okay, see, ideally they have to be totals here. But since our data is in all these cells, these are bold and the total column is not bold. But ideally, this is how you have to draw a table, write totals. These are column totals, 10 and 10. These are row totals, 4, 6, 2, 4, 2, 2, and 20. This is the grand total, 20, okay? Now, what do you want to draw? Look at the, data. Just having a look at the data tells you what? That they're going to be 2 bars for each. So what is the type of diagram that you're going to draw? You're going to draw a multiple bar diagram. So you don't have to go anywhere. Just click on this. This is your multiple bar diagram. See, it is done. Total row can be avoided also. Wait a second. I'll just avoid this. Whenever I select, whatever I select, I have to know what to select. Because whatever I select, this is like a robot, okay? It will just follow instructions. It does not have a mind of its own. So you have to give it the right instructions. See, the total column is gone here. This is your legend. This is your cryptococci, E. histolytica. Males में सबसे ज़्यादा क्या है? Giardia. Females, E. histolytica. So this is your multiple bar diagram, right? Now you know that there is a way in which pie charts can also be drawn, wherein you can compare. So what is the kind of chart that you draw? You draw a donut diagram, okay? We'll try a donut diagram if it is possible here, or simple pie chart. Pie chart will not be possible. Wait a second. No. This is for males. See, it is drawing a simple, pie chart for males. Maybe for females we can draw again, but I want you to see a donut diagram. Yeah. See, we go to others here. I'll just delete this. Okay. We go to others, this tab, we click on it. See, this is a donut diagram. Since you know the theory of a donut diagram, now you know that a pie chart cannot compare two subcategories, but a donut diagram can do it, okay? So we click on donut diagram here. See, you have this donut diagram. It gives you what? It gives you all data for males, all data for females, and it is very simple that you can always, write the percentages. Okay. I'm not getting the link for it and I'm getting late also. I want you to see something else. Okay, just have a hang of this. See, a donut diagram can do what? It can compare males with females. Okay, there are various ways in which you can write, you can select, add data labels, everything you can add here. Okay, this is for a separate class. Okay. Okay, this is again a different type of a chart that there are different types of charts that you can draw. Okay, but typically here we are going to talk about what? We are going to talk about what? Donut diagrams, multiple bar charts, and simple bar diagrams. Okay, right. Okay, I'll just close this window for a while. I want you to see something in SPSS. Give me a second. SPSS is a software which is a very heavy software. It takes some time to, load. So give me 2-3 minutes. We'll be stuck till it loads. Okay. For example, we have this data. I'll just click on it. See, this is why it is very important, you have to, whenever you're collecting data of any kind, it is very, very important that you make an Excel sheet. This Excel sheet, the sheet that we were talking about right now, on which we were doing, these diagrams, whenever you have a software, this software is called SPSS, IBM SPSS Statistics Data Editor, okay? Is it visible, Aradhya?
No, ma'am, it's not visible, ma'am.
Okay, I'll share it again. Just a second.
Sure.
Is it visible, bacha?
Yes, ma'am, it's visible
Okay,
now.
fine. See, this is the, it's just a version of Excel which is transported or imported from Excel into SPSS. SPSS is a very popular software which is used in medical research. Just to give you a, sensitization of what SPSS sheet looks like. See, we have collected data for autism here. These are the names of the kids who have come to the OPD, their addresses, current age, gender, male, female, the age of parents, age at which parents notice the symptoms, age of diagnosis, birth weight, mother's education status, mother's occupation, type of family, and severity, severe, moderate, mild. You should know, this is how Excel sheets are made. And this is how, you frame your data, code your data in SPSS. Just a second. See, can you see there is something different on your screen when I click on this branching arrow? See, gender 1 and 2. See, mother's education, PG, graduation, higher secondary here, and it converts into numbers here. Mother's occupation 1, 2, 2, 1, so on. So when you, click on this tab, this is the actual data. This is what is called coding of data. What have we done? We have given males code of 1, females code of 2. So instead of, writing male, female and typing, wasting your time typing on the Excel sheet, it is always good to write 1 and 2. Okay. Now, what do we do? I want you to see. This is gender. What do? We just go to analyze. I'll just tell you how simple it is to analyze your big Excel sheets with the help of softwares, but you cannot do it unless and until you know what to do. Okay. This is going to do all analysis for you. It is going to be a, assistant, AI assistant for you, anything for you, but you have to know what to do. Your concepts have to be very clear. This is gender. All of you will agree with me. This is a categorical variable with 2 categories. Okay, so it is qualitative variable. We go to analyze, go to descriptive statistics. You know frequencies, how many males and how many females in this data set. Okay, so go to frequencies. This is the reason in the last class we talked about what is a frequency, what is a variable. Okay, we click on frequencies. We go to, say, gender, and we push this in the variable column. Now we go to charts here. See, now we have to know what chart to draw. Can we draw histogram here? No, we cannot draw histogram. Why? Because this is a categorical variable. Histograms are meant to be drawn for quantitative variables. So we stick to bar chart or pie chart. We'll first click on bar chart. What do I want to see? I want to see the frequency of males and females or the percentage of males and females. I'll stick to frequencies for once. We'll continue. Okay, and click on OK. See what it does for you. See, we don't have to do anything. SPSS is drawing charts for you. See, males, females, there were 54 males and 16, females. Total row is also drawn. 70 kids, out of which 54 were males, 16 were females. The corresponding percentage is also calculated. Out of
it's not visible again.
It's not visible? Okay, wait.
No, ma'am, the chart is not visible.
No worries, I'll share it again. SPSS is very hard to, share and upload. Wait a second, I'll upload it again. Is it visible now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, see what it has done for you. It has drawn a table for you. This is the table. Males were 54, females were 16 in your data set. Total 70 students or patients. I'm sorry, not the word students here. 50 kids or 70 kids had participated in the survey of autism, out of which there were 54 males and 16 females. The corresponding percentages you don't have to manually calculate. SPSS has done it for you. You just look at these two. Forget these 2 columns. Look at these 2 columns. 54, 16, corresponding percentage is 77.1% and 22.9%. Now, what has it done? We clicked on frequency while we were drawing the chart. It has made a simple bar diagram for you, telling you that males were 54. Look at 54 here. 54, yeah. And then 16 here. Now, what if I want to label it? What do? I go to edit content in separate window. Just a second. Can you see this new window which is popping up? Click on this bullet, data label mode.
No, it's not visible again now.
It's not visible? Okay, no worries. Even if it is not, you don't have to, worry. Just a second. I'll have to share again. It is visible right now. Okay. You can see this. You can see that 54 written here and 16 written here. Is it visible? No worries. No worries. No worries. Even if it is not visible, you don't have to bother. Just a second. We'll go to the same diagram, the SPSS diagram that we were talking.
Now it's visible, ma'am.
Yeah, it is visible. See, you can see 54 here and 16 here. Can you see the label? Radha, can you see the label here?
Yes, ma'am, it's visible.
Okay, fine.
54 written over males and 16
yes,
written
and 16,
over females.
Yeah. So SPSS can even label it for you. All you have to know is it will do anything for you, but you have to know which diagram to make. And which diagram to make, the answer comes from which variable are you studying. That answer comes from the concept of qualitative and quantitative. See, let's see if we have run a mistake here. What if, instead of a bar diagram, we had labeled a histogram. Just a second. See, we go to analyze, we go to descriptive statistics, we go to frequencies. I go to charts here, and instead of a bar chart, see, I am a novice, I don't know. This is qualitative data. I write histogram here. See, let's see what it does for us. Okay. Okay. Show a normal curve, continue. Okay. Let's see. Will it draw histogram for us? Is it visible? Or do I have to share it again? Okay, I'll share it again. Don't worry. You have to see this histogram. Cannot leave you without seeing the histogram. Is it visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. See, we marked or we clicked on histogram, and without using its brain, the SPSS gave you what? It gave you a histogram. But essentially, this is a wrong diagram. Why? This is gender. This is supposed to be your male. This is supposed to be female. This is supposed to be a normal curve which is being drawn on a histogram. Mean, standard deviations, these are not to be calculated for qualitative data. Since we do not know for once that this is qualitative data, we just clicked on the wrong, icon of histogram, and it just, effortlessly gives you a histogram. But the point that I want to emphasize here is that although SPSS or any software for that matter will give you a diagram, it does not mean that the diagram that you have clicked on is correct. You have to have a conceptual understanding of what diagram is to be drawn for what data. Okay. Since we clicked on what? We clicked on bar diagram for the male-female category here. See, it gave you what? It gave you this. It gave you a bar chart with data labels that there are 54 males and 16 females. But since we were not sure that this is what kind of data, male, female is only numbers. This is qualitative data. If we are not sure and our concepts are not clear that this is qualitative data, we might by mistake click on histogram and see it gives you a histogram nevertheless. But then what is wrong? This histogram is not to be drawn here. Why? Because histogram is to be drawn for continuous data, quantitative data, which can be broken down into what? Decimals. Okay. So this is a wrong diagram. What I want to emphasize again and again here is please be very sure of your concepts, because conceptual understanding lets you give the right input. Whenever you're using ChatGPT also, you have to give the right input. It will do any complex analysis for you. It will do all kind of analysis for you. Very complex statistical tests can be done with ChatGPT, but only and only if you know the concepts. If your concepts are weak, you do not know what is a variable, ChatGPT is going to ask you, you are feeding your data, tell me what variables do you want me to identify? Tell me what variables do you want me to analyze for you? If we do not know the meaning of the word variable, we are caught, right? If we do not know, it says, do you want me to analyze qualitative data for you or quantitative? If we do not know what is qualitative data, we are stuck again. But we have to understand that basics have to be, fundamentals have to be very clear before you start research. This is an answer to the question that someone asked last time. Why are we reading variables? Why this introduction? Why this theory? But your theory is the basis of practicals later on. If your theory is very strong and you know the basics, it is very easy to go through the practicals. This is a practical, what you have seen in SPSS, and what you have seen here is qualitative data. What you have seen here is quantitative data, which was not to be drawn in this particular case. Okay. So I just want to introduce SPSS to you. I want to introduce a few more softwares to you so that, just a second. So that by the end of these lectures, you're not afraid of these terms. Okay, you're using SPSS for your data analysis. Where do you get SPSS from? A free trial of SPSS is available for 1 month. Whenever you have any data, it is very important. Students don't know what is an Excel sheet, how to code data in an Excel sheet. If you have, gone through these screens, with interest, name is written. These are all variables. And these are what? Essentially, these are demographic variables. Address, age, gender, age of diagnosis, birth weight, mother's education, occupation, type of family. See, we'll talk about type of family here. This is coded 1, 2, and 3. We'll go to analyze. We'll go to descriptive statistics. We'll go to frequencies. I'll just throw this out. What I do is I double click on this arrow, it goes out. And whatever I want to select, I'll just scroll this down, type of family. I just select this, click on this arrow. It comes into the bracket where we analyze data. I go to charts here, okay? I cannot draw a histogram for type of family. It is a qualitative data which is telling me what are the different types of families that these patients belong to. I need a bar chart, simple bar chart, okay? With percentages this time. Let's draw this bar chart. If the screen is not shared, just let me know. Is it visible? The type of family bar chart is visible?
No, ma'am, only the family type of family is highlighted.
No. The output chart is visible where type of family, nuclear and joint can be seen.
No, ma'am.
Okay, I'll just share again. This is the problem with SPSS. Yeah, I hope it is visible now. See, it just drew this chart for you. There were 70, patients, out of which 45 belong to nuclear families, 25 belong to joint families. Okay, this is the bar chart for nuclear family, joint family. But since you knew that this was qualitative data, there was no confusion. Okay, we'll again go to data. I'll go to severity right now. Analyze, descriptive statistics, frequencies. I'll just throw this out. I hope my screen is visible. Severity. Charts.
It's not.
Okay,
visible.
just a second. I'll share it again. You can see my screen now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, see, what did we do? From here, from this, we pushed severity here, okay? We go to charts. Severity is again, what kind of data? It is ordinal data. Ordinal data is a type of qualitative data. We can draw bar charts for it, okay? We can go on percentages and continue. Then, okay. I think you cannot see the bar chart. Can you?
No, ma'am.
Okay, I'll just share it again. See, it is visible now.
Yes,
Fine.
ma'am, it's visible.
Yeah, this is your table. See, there are no 2 variables. There are 3 variables: mild, moderate, severe. There were 70, kids with autism. 35 had mild autism. 33 had moderate autism. 2 had severe autism. Now we are drawing a bar chart for this. Mild is the most number that you see, the most frequently occurring category, followed by moderate, followed by severe. There are only 2 kids who have severe autism. Okay. So this is what I want you to know. That if you know the type of data, simple, mild, moderate, severe is ordinal data. It has some kind of order to it. And ordinal data is a type of categorical or qualitative data. I'll repeat again. There are 3 types of qualitative data. Nominal is names, ordinal is order, and dichotomous or binary is what? 2 categories. Okay. Then we talk of quantitative data, 2 types. One that can be divided into decimals. That is what? What kind of data? Discrete and Can you write? I've been repeating it so many times. Can anyone write in the WhatsApp group? Discrete and continuous, bache. Continuous data is that data which can be divided into decimals. Discrete data is that data which cannot be divided into decimals. Okay. Now coming back again. Mild, moderate, severe is ordinal kind of data. Ordinal kind of data is what kind of data? It is categorical data, qualitative data. Qualitative data can be represented easily with the help of a bar diagram. Our concepts are very clear. So what do? We simply analyze, go to descriptive statistics, go to frequencies, and what do? Draw charts. Charts may we click on what? Bar charts and continue. And this is what we get. This is the output that we get. Okay? The output is the same, mild, moderate, severe. And this is how you draw charts on SPSS. And this is how you draw charts on Excel. I hope I'm clear. I think I've surpassed 10 minutes, taken 10 minutes extra time. I'm so sorry, but could not leave you, without doing this hands-on. Aradhya, I'm done for today. Next time we'll be talking about quantitative data, and I hope to see you there.
Sure, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. Ananya, you can start with the feedback session.
Okay. So we appreciate everyone joining us today, and we hope you found the session discussion fruitful. A special thanks to Dr. Bhavna for her valuable insights. We are now opening the floor for questions. Please feel free to raise your hand or submit your queries in the WhatsApp group.
Guys, the WhatsApp group is open for everyone as of now, so you can share all your queries over that, or you can also share it over the chat box, or raise your hands just in case you wish to do that. Yeah, Jarmeet, I'll just unmute you. We're not taking an attendance right now. We're just asking you for any questions or queries that you have regarding the session. I have received a question on my ma'am. Ma'am, am I audible? Is Dr. Bhavna here?
Yes, I'm here, Aradhya, and you're audible. You can ask the question.
I have the question on my WhatsApp. It's from one of the attendees that how do we actually select what tool that we should be using in our research?
See,
How do we actually select the tool that
you
we're
are
going to
just,
use? Whether
you are
we
at
should
this.
use the bar? Yes,
Yeah, I understand the question, dear. See, we are at the, just at a juncture where we've just started, we've just stepped on the path of research. What happens is, as you proceed forwards, you get a knack of it. You just know what tool to use. There are so many softwares like SPSS, we have Jamovi, we have so many PSPS, PSPP. There are so many softwares. All softwares will do the same thing for you. But what is important here is that you have a hang of data. Once you have a hang of data, two things can be done. For undergraduate purposes, for the purpose of passing your PSM exam, you have to draw all this manually. But after that, there is no purpose of doing it manually. We have even forgotten how to do it manually because we are so used to using softwares. You can use any software, any software. There is no tool, there is no proper selection of tool. You go to a statistical software, you upload your data sheet, you click on graphs and you get your diagram. Okay. But the only thing is what you have to understand is what diagram or what bar chart or what, graph has to be drawn for what kind of data. The basis of today's class was identify your data so that you can select a suitable diagram. Whenever you have a hang of your data, you know what diagram to draw. No tools are required. You can do it manually. You can use free softwares. And the softwares give you all the tools for free. Okay. You just have to know that you have to click on graph. This is the reason I opened SPSS today. You know where to click on. You can click on graphs. You can click on, charts. There are so many softwares which will draw, these diagrams for you. But you just go through the process and you just know, okay? You just know by experience that this is the kind of diagram that I have to draw.
Ma'am, we have got another query. It's from Maliha Bilal that how to plot the data on the maps. I'll just
Yes,
unmute her if she's there
yeah,
and we can.
Malia, what we can do is we also have softwares where you can upload the data in the same way that we did in SPSS, and then you can, put your spot map, an empty map, and then the software is going to, plot that data on the map for you. But it is very, less frequently used, so I did not show it to you because it is very, occasionally used. Usually you use bar charts, multiple bar charts, you use pie diagram, you use donut diagram, you use histograms. Your whole research, revolves around it. And when you come to maps and all, when you go into that kind of depth, softwares do it for you. They do it for you. You just have to feed your Excel sheet and it will draw a spot map. It will draw a thematic map for you. We have special softwares for qualitative data. The software that I have shown you today is SPSS. And mind you, this software is only for quantitative data. We have special softwares for qualitative data also. They can even, analyze pictures for you. They can analyze themes for you. These softwares are called softwares for qualitative data, and a free software which is used is called QDA Miner. QDA Miner. QDA Miner is a very popular software which is free of cost, and it is actually used for drawing maps and pictorial diagrams and for analysis of qualitative data. For example, a group discussion. It also, for example, we do a group discussion, we find, feedback is taken from so many participants and different kinds of feedbacks are taken. It will analyze even those feedbacks for you. You take a few pictures in your camera gallery and you upload those pictures. It will, make a sense of those pictures also and tell you. So that is beyond the preview of this course. This is just, we are beginning from scratch and we are building on the concepts, but basically we'll be dealing more with quantitative data rather than qualitative data. But definitely I want you to know that yes, there are softwares that do that kind of analysis. You give it the data, give it an empty map, it will fill it for you. QDA Miner is a classical example. Okay.
Okay, since we don't have any more questions, we will be wrapping up. So we will be now sharing the feedback form that will be provided in the chat box. This will also serve as your attendance record. Remember, certificate will only be issued to those who will attend all the 10 sessions. So thank you for your active participation. We look forward to seeing you at our next session. Further details will be shared in the WhatsApp.
Thank you so much, all of you, for your patient hearing. And next time we'll be talking about quantitative data. Okay. I think Aradhya classes will be 11 instead of 10 because today we were supposed to talk about qualitative and quantitative. I just talked about qualitative because I did not want to rush. So next time we'll be talking about histograms. Very important class. Okay. God bless you all.
We'll share it in the group.
Sorry?
Sure.
Yeah.
Ma'am, I said that we'll share it in the group regarding every
Yeah,
session,
please,
whatever
because
topics that
the
we are
next
going
class will be quantitative data. Thank you. God bless you all. Take care. Bye. Bye.
Guys, you can fill the this feedback form, which will also serve as your attendance. You can do it. I've shared it. I've shared it in the chat box. So this link is open till 9. You can do it in the meantime. So it's open till 9 only. Thank you so much for attending this session, guys.